name is Rebecca and I work at Yarn Barn, and today I'm going to teach you how to do a long tail cast on double point needles. So I'm going to demonstrate the long tail cast on double point needles. And to start, you're going to need the tail of your yarn going towards your body and the yarn going to the ball goes away from you. Your hand makes, like, people say this is a slingshot, but it's like an L shape. So we're going to start with our double point, move these other way, double point between the two fingers, and then on the tails of the yarn I'm going to grab with my other fingers at the bottom of my hand. So this is not going to be a stitch. I'm going to call this stitch 0 throughout this whole thing. We're going to use it at the end, but right now it's just part of our cast on. So I go in, I'm going to go under the loop under my thumb, go up and grab the one from my forefinger, pull the loop with my thumb over the tip of the needle, and tighten it with my thumb. And that gets our first stitch on there. So this is stitch 0 and this is stitch 1. I'm gonna do that again. So I've got my slingshot shape. Gonna pull the needle back, go under the loop under my thumb, grab the loop from my forefinger, and then we're gonna go back through the loop of my thumb, pull my thumb out, and tighten that on. And this is the long tail cast on because we are using a long tail of yarn to make our cast on. I'm going to add 10 stitches onto each of my needles and then show how to join in the round. So I'm not going to count this one, remember that's 0, that doesn't matter. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 10. Did you check the audio? Yeah. Okay, so it's good. Yep. Okay, so when I add the second needle, I don't need a new stitch 0 because my 0 is basically where this is attaching from the previous needle. So I'm going to put it in a slingshot shape. I'm going to start with my second needle right up here by the first one. It's going to look very awkward and feel awkward, and it is, but it's okay, we'll get through it. All of the stitches feel awkward when you first start. So we're going to instead start from under the thumb, grab the yarn from the finger, pull the loop of the thumb over, and pull it snug. And if you look right here, it's a little loose, but now these stitches go here, and the next one on this needle is going to be right lined up with those. So I'm going to add 9 more stitches onto the second needle. Okay, so now I have 10 stitches on the first needle, plus our stitch 0, and 10 stitches on the second needle. I'm gonna grab my third needle, and it's gonna join just the same we did the second. So making our slingshot shape, we'll go under the thumb, grab the loop from the finger, pull it under the thumb, pull that thumb out with the loop, and snug it up. So now, if you look at this in a row, you can see we've got stitches, stitches, and this next set of stitches are going to line up right with it and continue on the next needle. So I'm going to put 10 stitches on here. Under the thumb, grab the forefinger, pull the loop over the needle, and snug it up. Don't split your yarn. Do what I say, not what I do. Okay, so now if I lay this down again so you can see, there's needle 1 with 10 stitches and our stitch 0, needle 2 has 10 stitches, and needle 3, which we just added on, actually needs to flip over. over, right here is gonna be 10 stitches. So it's gonna make one line with our cast on. And we need one more because we're doing 40 stitches on this. So I'm gonna pick up the thing, make sure my tail is towards my body, and the string going to the ball goes over my finger. So the thumb is the yarn with the tail. And we're gonna add 10 more stitches onto this last needle. Okay, so now I have 40 stitches on my needles. I'm gonna lay them down just to see and make sure it's all going in the same direction. If you look at the cast on, one side is gonna have like dash lines and the other side is gonna have bumps, like purl bumps. I'm just gonna make sure it's the same side facing up the whole time. And because I'm gonna join in the round, I can actually just make it so the bump side, which actually, no, that is not the cast on side, all points to the center, and that they all look the same. So they're all the knit side. And I'm going to join these stitches right here. And to join them, we're gonna move our stitch 0 over to the last stitch, and we're gonna work it at the end of the first round. So this is stitch 0. I'm gonna pass it purlwise onto the 4th needle. And I'm gonna slide these stitches back just to show, just to make sure it looks correct. Everything is going in the right direction. Nothing is twisted. This guy looks twisted. Let's change where this needle is pointing. There we go. So this looks right. These are the knit sides of my cast on all the way around, and it's making a circle. Now, stitch 0 has been moved onto my 4th needle, and I'm gonna use my 5th needle to start knitting, and I'm gonna do a typical cast on in a small circumference is gonna be ribbing, so I'm gonna do a 2x2 ribbing, which is knit 2, purl 2. And this is going to be the same everywhere up until the very last stitch where we had joined in the round. So I'm not using the right part of my needle. So I scoot the stitches up to the tip to work it. I'm gonna do 2 knits and then 2 purls. And I am knitting in the continental style, which means I hold my yarn in my left hand and I'm picking my stitches with my right needle. So knit 2, purl 2, knit 2. Okay, so I've finished with the knit 2 and I'm ready to go to my next needle. I'm going to make sure these haven't twisted. So I'm finishing with knit 2, so I know the next needle I'm going to start with purls. And I'm just going to make sure my stitches are to the middle of this needle. I don't have loose tension. If you do, you can add tip protectors or something else to make sure a double point doesn't slide through. But since I'm a fairly tight knitter, this is not a problem for me, so I'm gonna just let it hang and keep going. Now, the next needle, I have to start with purl because I finished with 2 knits, so I'm gonna pull the yarn forward, and it is gonna be jangly. And you just have to accept that this chaos is going to be not chaos soon. You're gonna go in from the right, purl, and I'm actually working behind the needle I just worked because it's just easier with the tips of the needles. So if you were facing it, this would be towards you and this is behind it, because I can work into the next needle easier without running into this one again, because this one, I just need it to basically be out of my way while I keep going. So I'm gonna continue with my knit 2, purl 2 on this needle. So I'm ready for the last 2, and if you see this, my needles have kind of gotten twisted around so that my cast on is on top of this needle. It's not actually twisted. I'm going to move the tip of this needle out of the way so it's not below. And then I'm going to purl these last 2 stitches. And now I'm going to start on needle number 3. So our first 2, we have done our knit 2, purl 2 ribbing. We ended with purls, so the next needle we're going to start with 2 knits. And just like needle 1, needle 3, I'm going to end with 2 knits, which just means I'm going to start the 4th needle with the 2 purls. So here's my last 2 knits. And now I'm going to stop because we're going to move on to our last needle. This is where we have the extra 0 stitch, and we're going to do something extra there when we join so that it is joined in the round and pretty, because we all like pretty things. So I'm ready for purls, so I'm gonna move my yarn forward, which also means my 3rd needle is gonna move to the front, just like it did when I worked on the 2nd needle. And then knit 2. Purl 2. Knit 2. Okay, so I'm at my last 2 stitches, which are purls plus the 0 stitch, which is where we are doing the join. So I'm going to purl the first one, and the second one I know is going to be a purl, but I also need to take care of the 0 stitch. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to purl 2 together. So I'm going to stick the tip of my needle into the front as if to purl, but through both the last stitch and stitch 0 that we moved over from the cast on. Now I'm going to wrap the yarn for a purl, pull it up, and now this is joined in the round, and the join itself is part of this. After this, you would continue your project however long it needed to be. I'm gonna just show you the finished cast on a hat and show you the join. So stitch 0 on this hat is right here. So this would be the first stitch, this knit. And over here, this purl would be the last stitch. And right here is where we had that extra loop and we joined it. And you can see that there's obviously something there, but it's not super big and loopy. It's just a little bit extra, and I've actually pulled it looser with my needle just to show you where it was. The long tail cast on is good because it is a stretchy cast on that has memory. So you pull it like this and let go, and it will pop right back. And you don't have to worry about it getting stretched out of shape because it's just gonna take care of itself, and that's great. And that's the long tail cast on.